Welcome back to Main Down Sports. In this episode, I want to talk about what happened last night with the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. And you are probably already seeing this going all the way around social media that Jokic, I want to say it was in the fourth quarter. It was a play that went out of bounds. The ball went out of bounds and it landed in a fan's lap, and that fan just happened to be the owner of the Phoenix Suns. And Jokic went over there and what ended up turning out to be almost an altercation. Like, he went over there, snatched the ball from him, and then he pushed the owner in his chest with his elbow and pushed him down. Now the owner did flop. He did flop. But there was a straight up deliberate push in the chest. There's no doubt about that. He actually pushed him. He actually extended his arm. But the owner did throw his arms up almost like he was flopping on the basketball court, which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny. So and a lot of people are looking at this, and they're not looking at the actual incident and asking themselves if this incident is worthy of more punishment. He ended up getting a technical during the game, but as the NBA reviews this tonight and tomorrow, will anything more come out of it? It's possibly it could be a fine. It's possible it could be a suspension, a one-game suspension. So it just depends on what the rule book says, and a lot of people are trying to take into account things that they shouldn't be taking into account. Like, number one, I heard Charles Barkley say nothing should happen to him. They didn't even think he should get a tick, because they feel like, number one, it's the playoffs, and suspending a player of Jokic caliber in the playoffs is detrimental to his team, right? I don't think that should be a thing that they take into account. I know the NBA is a business, and I know they're trying to sell tickets, and they're trying to get the highest ratings possible for all their basketball games. So this punishment on Jokic, if it does end up being a suspension, would be detrimental to themselves as a business. So do they care more about that more than they care about following their own rules? And I'm gonna probably have to say, yeah, they do care about the business and the bottom line, and how it's going to affect it more than they care about their own rule book or the integrity of the game. Now, but if you're looking at it from the standpoint of what are the rules, what do you say on paper that's supposed to happen in this scenario, I do think that suspension is in order. From my understanding, since the Malice in the Palace and that big fight that happened with Detroit and Indiana with the fans, I thought running off from teammates running off the bench was a no-no, right? Those are automatic suspensions. I think it was 2007. It was one of those years where the Spurs was playing the Phoenix Suns, and Boris Diaw and Amari Stoudemire ran off the bench to check on Steve Nash after he got like really hip checked real bad by Robert Horry toward the end, toward the sidelines. And just, I don't know if you remember that, but he just threw Steve Nash all over the floor, right? And Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw jumped off the bench and ran toward the scores table where Steve Nash landed. They wasn't even running toward Horry. They was running toward Steve Nash to see if he was all right. And the coaches saw that and was aware of it and grabbed him and made both of them go back to the bench. But for a split second, they was off the bench going toward Steve Nash. I think Stoudemire even stepped foot on the court for a split second, and they both got suspended for the next game, right? So and that was big. It was the playoffs. So we've seen the rule get followed to the letter, no matter who it was, and no matter what team it was, and no matter if it was the playoffs before, So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing I heard people saying is, the owner had the ball and he can't have the ball. Yeah, that might be right. So the owner had the ball in his hand, but that still don't excuse you for pushing him down. And let's kind of take it one by one, step by step, what really happened, right? And I watched the video a couple of times. It was a loose ball, and a loose ball went out of bounds. Okogie went chasing. I think Jamal Murray and Okogie both was chasing the loose ball, and there was a bump between Jamal Murray and Okogie ended up chasing the ball into the stands and landing in the lap of about 2 or 3 fans. He was off his feet, laying in their lap, right? But he was chasing the ball, so that's legal. For you to continue on a play into the stands, that's a legal play. That's legal, right? Going into the stands for any other reason is not legal. So for Okogie to chase the ball and land into the lap of fans in the stands, that's good to go, right? But him chasing the ball, as soon as he landed in the fans' hands or the fans' lap, the ball just landed right in the lap of the Phoenix Suns owner, right? So the Suns owner caught the ball. Now, was he thinking about holding up the play, slowing it down until his player could get on his feet? Maybe, maybe not. But just me being honest, from looking at it, as soon as the ball landed in his hand, it was like an afterthought. He was just holding it, and then he reached out to go and try to help Okogie up. Right. So while he's helping Okogie up, he stands up. He's helping Okogie up, but there's so many people right there. Okogie's still not really up yet. They're all trying to get him up, and he tangled up with people. Owner's holding the ball, and while he was holding the ball, Jokic runs over there. Now here's the part that is not legal. Jokic runs into the stands. That's not legal. You can't do that. So that's the first thing that the NBA is going to be looking at. So that's almost equivalent as a player running off the bench. I think both of those rules came into play from the Malice and the Palace. Can't go in the stands for any reason unless you're continuing on into a play. It's a live ball that you're chasing, right? But you can't go in there on no dead ball for no other reason, right? So I don't care if the ball went out in the stands or not. You're not going out there to go get it, right? You can't go in the stands, right? So that's the first mistake you made. Then he went and forcefully snatched it out of the owner's hand. And the owner gave a little resistance, so the ball went flying in the air. And when the ball went flying in the air, it kind of went over. I think that kind of frustrated Jokic. Now, here's the part where he said, the owner touched me, or the fan touched me, right? So the fan was standing up, the owner was standing up right beside Jokic, and he had like a small, gentle touch on his hip, kind of like a calming down thing. It was no push, there was no pull, none of that. It was just a small, gentle hand, like if you go talk to a referee about a call and you have a smaller, gentle hand on the small of his waist, right? The owner's hand slightly touched Jokic, and it was such a bang play that it was almost like Jokic was already elbowing him before he even felt the touch, right? But hindsight being 2020, now he's using the excuse that I elbowed him because he touched me, right? Yeah, I think all that is crazy. As a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me play you exactly what Jokic said in the post-game interview.
What happened when you went out to get the ball on the side, and what was the explanation they gave you for giving you that technical foul?
He told me I was elbowing the fan. So, but the fan put the hand on me first. So I thought the league's supposed to protect us or whatever. So, but maybe I'm wrong. So we will see.
Did you happen to know who the fan was?
He's a fan of. He's no. I know who is, but he's a fan, isn't he? He's a sitting
Phoenix Suns owner,
sitting on the court, and he's a fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he's a. So whoever it is, and he's a fan, he cannot influence the game by holding the ball.
Do you worry that this may lead to a fine or suspension or anything?
Why?
Like that? Just if the NBA official said that he thought you shoved him.
Mm-hmm. So, but his hands on me, so they're not going to protect me. They're going to protect the fan. I mean, not me as a person, but I'm talking about as a player.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do whatever, of course. They don't care, but I think they're supposed to protect players.
Were you surprised that he didn't just hand you the ball? I mean, that's what I expected maybe would happen. The fan would.
Even if he didn't, I was trying to rip the ball, and so he didn't let go. So he's influencing the game, I think. I think he's supposed to get kicked out if he's influencing the game.
Why did you take it upon you? Why did you take it upon yourself to retrieve the ball?
What?
Why did you take it upon yourself to retrieve the ball? The referee could have retrieved the ball.
Because Okoji was on the ground and we had an advantage 5-4.
No more questions about that. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right. So that's his explanation. And you heard him toward the end say, and that was a good question by the reporter. He asked him, why did you even go over there to try to get the ball? Like, because when you really think about it, you're not supposed to go in the stands. So what possessed him to go in the stands and try to go get the ball? And his answer was that he saw Okogie was on the ground because Okogie landed into the crowd and he was trying to get up. He saw Okogie on the ground and felt like they would have an advantage and could get a 5-on-4 going the other way. So he wanted to rush over there to go get the ball. However, you're not supposed to go in the stands, right? So that's obvious, right? The other thing he said is that he touched me first. So that's going to be his defense when the NBA does their investigation. I'm pretty sure they're going to interview him. They're going to interview the team owner, and they're probably, who, I don't know who else they go interview, but it's going to be an investigation. So his defense is going to be he touched me first, right? But before you even get there, what is your defense for going over there in the stands when that's illegal, right? And he said we wanted a fast break. So his defense is jacked up. Then his explanation is kind of jacked up, and then he touched me first. That doesn't justify anything that you did, right? So all the fluff that's surrounded around this incident, the incident still happened. You shoved the fan, right? You can try to make all these excuses you want. You shoved the fan. That's what's going to be investigated. You shoved the fan. Did he shove it? Okay. You shove the fan. What is the punishment for shoving the fan? The circumstances around it don't matter. And that's the same kind of argument Draymond Green and the Warriors tried to make for themselves when he stumped Sabonis in the chest. All right. So you got a incident of stomping someone in their chest while they land on their back, right? That's the incident. And they try to provide all these other excuses and all this fluff around it by saying, oh, he grabbed my ankle. I had nowhere to land. What was I supposed to put my foot? And all of these things, these was all his excuses, why he stumped somebody in their chest. Well, all right, look, the punishment for grabbing a player's ankle is a technical. The punishment for stumping someone in their chest is a 1-game suspension. So that's how they're going to look at it. You can't say my actions are excused because something provoked me or whatever. You broke a rule, right? You broke a rule, and it was egregious. And that's the same way the NBA should look at this Jokic thing. I mean, I wouldn't want him to get suspended. He's a player that's great to watch on offense, and he's a likable guy, man. When you hear him talk and you hear him interact with people, I mean, what's not to like about the dude? The dude is just a phenomenal player and seemed like a cool guy as well. And you would hate to see a series be decided by something like this. We've seen it before with Draymond Green getting suspended in the finals against the Cavs, right? So we've seen, like I said before, we've seen it with the Phoenix Suns and the Spurs with Amara Stoudemire getting suspended, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if a suspension comes. If a suspension don't come, that would surprise me, to be honest, because I think everything that you need there is there, right? But I will understand why the NBA would try to figure out some other way to handle this. They got a good series going on with Phoenix and Denver right now, and then you got a lot of fans that's gonna be real mad and frustrated, like they're already mad and frustrated with the refereeing in a lot of these games, especially the Lakers Warriors games. So Adam Silver's got his work cut out for him tonight. I'm pretty sure he's up now reviewing everything and investigating and setting everything up for tomorrow. But I don't understand the people that are just enabling Jokic and just acting like nothing happened. You know, the same way people was saying the same thing with Draymond Green, like, oh man, nothing happened, and oh, he grabbed his ankle, like all this, like you're pointing to all this stuff, and I just don't understand the enablers. Here's Coach Mike Malone in his explanation. He's one of the enablers. Listen to him.
Perspective, what did you see of the sort of altercation in the second quarter, and then how was the adjudication explained to you from the officials?
Yeah, I'm still not really sure what happened. I haven't seen a video of it. I think it's crazy that Nikola got technical foul in that situation. He's going to get the ball, and some fan is holding on to the ball like he wants to be a part of the game. Just give the ball up, man. You know what I mean? And, you know, they deemed Nikola doing something that was excessive, I guess, and they gave him the tech, but I still don't really understand it.
Think the fans, the owner of the Suns, made any difference?
I don't give a shit. I mean, I really don't care.
There you go. And I get a coach trying to protect this player and, you know, protect the team, and, you know, I get all that stuff, but that, I think that's a little bit beyond trying to protect your player. Like the way he sounds is like he really didn't see nothing wrong at all. And that's the part that just baffles me. Like, I ain't see nothing wrong. You know, he just went over there, and a fan had the ball, and, you know, what was the fan doing with the ball? Get the ball up. Now I'm like, really? You really pushing somebody and you go excuse that? You go excuse that. Then he go say, I guess Jokic did something excessive to get a tech, but I ain't see the film. So Mike Malone on one end is saying I didn't see what happened. So, but on the other end, he's also saying I don't think he deserved the tech. So if you didn't see what happened, how you know if he deserved the tech or not? You know, it's very odd the way he's speaking, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's not odd, because he go say anything he need to say to protect this guy, and he don't want him to get suspended. But Coach Malone is he's sold out for Jokic, man. Like, you know, I listen to him talk a lot, like after Denver losses. And you can tell, I mean, he don't say names. He has called people out personally. I remember 2-3 years ago, especially in the bubble, when Michael Porter Jr. was real young in his first year, maybe second year. And he kept benching Michael Porter Jr. And then they would ask him why MPJ didn't play in the fourth. And he would say something about defense and rebounding. You know, he really calls Michael Porter Jr. out. I've heard him call out Murray before, but he never calls out Jokic. Like, in his mind, and maybe he does it privately. And you know, most coaches know that, you know, I can push the buttons of one player differently than the way I need to push the buttons for the other player. So you know, I'm not pretending to know if he's actually calling Jokic out in film study or at practice or whatever. And we all know that Jokic struggle on defense. So for him to say it publicly, it could have a negative effect on him. Because look, man, what else can you want me to do? You just go keep calling me out, you know. So I get it, and we seen how Ben Simmons responded with Doc Rivers, you know, with what he said about him in press conferences. So maybe Coach Malone is like that. I don't know, but from what I understand and what I see, it's never Jokic's fault in a loss. When he calls out his team, he'll say the team didn't play defense right. But he'll never call out how bad Jokic was on defense. He'll never say Jokic did anything wrong, but he'll call out other players. So, I mean, I don't know if he has that thought process that Jokic is just the perfect player, the perfect person. He does nothing wrong, and he just go protect everything he does. And it kind of seems like that's the same attitude the Golden State Warriors got with Draymond. They just, we just go enable him with everything he does. Like, it's just not fun to watch a player be out of control and then watch an organization, a coach and teammates just continue to make excuses for him. Like, I remember the altercation that Jokic got in with the Morris twin. Yeah, the Morris twin bumped him. He gave him a little tough bump, little tough foul or something like that. And then start walking up court. and this big 7-footer, 300-pounder gets a full head of steam and run toward him while his back is turned and just absolutely destroyed him, whiplashed him. He was on the ground for several minutes, and he missed about the second half of the season. He missed a lot of time for a neck injury. And I'm like, I'm listening to everybody talk about it, and everybody was like, yeah, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I'm like, man, does he do anything wrong? Like, and I get it. He's quiet and he's likable and he's a good player. And those kind of players kind of will us in and make us like them. And when you like a player, you just protect them, you coddle them. So I don't know if that's what's going on, but the whole league is like that, man. Nothing he does is wrong. And then you hear Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Shaq, they talk about it, and he just didn't do anything wrong. All that stuff is kind of weird to me, man. But let me I'm gonna tell you why I think something might go down with this suspension, because this is Tony Brothers' explanation when he was asked after the game. All right, so the question was why did Nikola Jokic receive an unsportsmanlike technical foul for the fan exchange late in the first half? His response was, the ball went over into the corner there, and one of the fans was holding the ball. Jokic came to get the ball, grabbed it away from the fan. Then after that, he deliberately gave him a shove and pushed him down. So he was issued an unsportsmanlike technical foul. And the second question was, so he pushed the fan down? Brother said yes. Third question, is it the same fan that had the ball, right? And brother said the fan no longer had the ball, but it was the fan that started with the ball. So he was explaining, the fan who had the ball was the one he pushed down, right? But the key thing in there was his first explanation when he said Jokic came to get the ball, grabbed it away from the fan. Then after that, he deliberately gave him a shove and pushed him down. He did two things wrong. He went in the stands and he pushed the fan. He did two things wrong, right? Two things wrong. And they can point out the fact that he was holding the ball or the fact that his hand touched him or whatever. They can point that out all they want, but that's not going to excuse his action. All right, that might mean that the owner might get fined as well. But you can't suspend the owner from his own arena. That's why he didn't get kicked out for the altercation, right? And the other thing I would say to people who's trying to protect Jokic in this situation is, if he felt like he was justified to push the guy down because he had the ball or because he had his hand on the small of his back, if he felt like he was in his rights to push the guy down, why did he try to make it seem like he didn't push him? Why did he push him and then act like he was, just throwing his hands up like he didn't push him? Why hide the fact that you pushed him, right? Why play it off like you didn't push him? You did that because you knew it was wrong. You knew it was wrong. You knew you weren't supposed to be pushing a fan like that, right? Then they asked him, "Did you know it was the offending son's on?" Yeah, he stuttered. It was a fan. Yeah, I knew who he was. He knew it was the offending son. So this is what I really think that was going through his head. I think the ball went out of bounds. I think when the ball went over there, and I believe Jokic when he said that he felt like they had an advantage because Okogie was on the ground. So I do believe he wanted that 5-on-4, right? Under normal circumstances, the ball go out of bounds like that, goes out of play. I can imagine the referee going over there and getting the ball and then putting the ball back in play. Rarely do I see a fan run into the stands to get a ball. Rarely do I see that. So yeah, I do believe he may have been thinking that if I can get this ball, we can get a 5-on-4 fast break. I can inbounds it and we can get on. We can get some numbers. So once he went over there and seeing that the team owner of the Phoenix Suns had the ball, he was like, I'm gonna snatch this ball, because I think he did feel like the owner was purposely holding the ball so they couldn't get a fast break. I don't think the owner was doing that. I think it landed in his lap. He didn't go and grab the ball that was close to him or nothing like that. The ball actually just landed right in his lap, and it was just instincts that he just cuffed it and then tried to help Okogie up. So I don't think his thought process was, as soon as it landed in his lap, he had that split second thought that, you know what, let me hold this so they don't get no fast break. As a matter of fact, when the ball went out, it was Murray and Okogie. It was a bang bang play. I don't even know if they knew who the possession was going to at the time. It happened so quick. I don't even remember if they blew the whistle and said who got possession. I don't even know. Right. So it's gonna be really hard for Jokic to try to explain this one. Mike Malone and whoever else, man, y'all got y'all hands full with this one, because it just don't look good, man. It don't look good if the NBA do it the right way and follow their own rules. Jokic would be suspended, right? Jokic would be suspended. So that'll be a game 5 at home in Denver without Jokic. Unfortunately, if they do that, I think the NBA will get so much heat that people feel like, hey, look, man, you just decided the series. Because that's what people was thinking when Draymond got suspended, because I think they were down 2-0. Were they down 2-0? They might have been down 2-0, and then Draymond got suspended for game 3. Right? So they're like, oh, man, we ain't even got Draymond. We going back home to Golden State down 2-0. And everybody was like, the NBA, that's wrong. You shouldn't suspend them. It's the playoffs. You don't suspend nobody for the playoffs. And you just decided the series. So I really honestly believe the NBA don't want to decide the series on the suspension like that. And they don't want the Heat. Well, I wouldn't say they don't want to decide the series. If they had to, they would. They don't care. But I don't think they want the heat if it's not necessary. They don't want the heat of people saying the refs decided the series, the NBA decided the series by suspending somebody for a playoff game. So to avoid that heat, I think they'll just make it so that Denver wins. Right? they just say, well, look, you know what? All right, we'll just help Denver out a little bit. All right? We'll just help them out a little bit. And if you really think about it, I seen them throw some bones to a couple of teams that was missing their star player when Giannis got hurt in game 1 against Miami, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that's so unfortunate." What did they do in game 2? They came out and Milwaukee daggone beat the brakes off of the Heat without Giannis. I'm like, man, how the heck they do that? You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting. How did they do that? What did they do when Joel Embiid missed game 1 against Boston? Philadelphia came out and beat the brakes out of the Boston Celtics. Right? It's just interesting, man. What happened when Draymond Green got suspended? The Warriors came out and they got that whistle in them. The Warriors came out and beat them boys. What happened when Ja Morant got hurt against the Lakers? Daggone Memphis Grizzlies came out and got them a game without Ja Morant. I just want y'all to keep an eye on that and say, how are they going to call the game? Because two things is going to happen once that star player goes out. You're going to have a lot of mad fans ready to call it rigged as soon as their team loses. Right? As soon as their team lose, it's rigged. You suspended my guy, right? Then you also go have a network airing a game that's not going to be competitive because a star player is missing. So it might be a blowout by the second quarter. right? That's going to drop ratings. People want to stop watching, right? That's not a good look. And then you got a superstar missing that's just gonna make the game less entertaining, right? It's less competitive, less entertaining, and it just seems like when that happens, you know what? We'll tilt the whistle a little bit toward that team that's missing their star to at least let them be competitive. So so it's not a blowout by the second quarter. Let's at least keep it competitive. So they'll get the whistle. And I'm telling you, we've seen it already, 3 or 4 times in the first and second round. Ja Morant, Giannis, Embiid, and if Jokic gets suspended, I feel bad for Phoenix, but they gonna have their work cut out for them trying to beat them in Denver. And you'll be like, oh my God, 50 from Jamal Murray and 33 from Michael Porter Jr. Amazing. Just watch my word. Y'all think I'm joking. Just watch my word, man. If they suspend Jokic, they're gonna make it up to him because they do not want that smoke if Denver loses and they blame it all on the NBA and they say it's rigged and all this. They do not want that type of smoke. Trust me. But yeah, that's it, man. I just wanted to get in here and talk about that. The series was good. The game last night was amazing. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Well, I mean, Nikola Jokic was amazing. 53 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. I don't think he had that many rebounds, maybe 4 or 5. But every time he shot the ball, to me, I was like, man, it's going in. It just feel like it's going in. I mean, he's all over the place. One thing I am noticing though, they're hedging a little bit, or the help is kind of like is not helping 100%. They're just like, arm's length away, right? Because they want to stay at home on the shooters at the same time. And when they're playing them like that and they're not bringing their double team, what that's doing is that's making Jokic shoot it 35, 40 times a game to be effective. So he's shooting a lot. He's going to get a lot of points, but he's working against a single coverage defense, really. Right. So he's not working against the double team. Then when they add him into the screen and roll with Jamal Murray, Ayton, he's playing at the worst. Ayton is so they're going over the screen and rolls. And Ayton is dropping, but he's kind of guarding, but he's almost switching, but only for a quick second, and then he got to get back on Jokic. But for so many times he's getting burnt. Every time he kind of hedges or switches or whatever he's doing. Jamal Murray is fitting that bounce pass right to the Jokic, and Jokic is just floating it up there. And Ayton can't figure it out. Landale's playing it way better than Ayton. But it's been a good series so far, man. Tied at 2-2. And man, we'll see how it goes in Denver after Jokic get this suspension. But until next time, man, I'll catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.